Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Polls have closed about 2 hours ago, and numbers continue to pile in from across the state and the country.
Yeah, here in Acadiana, voters casting their ballots on a number of issues, including constitutional amendments, congressional races, and also local tax propositions.
And KATC, of course, has complete team coverage. Our Alex Sabat and Allison Bourne-Vanek covering the Lafayette DA's race. Valerie Poncetti in St. Martin Parish covering Breaux Bridge Mayor. Carrie Beal covering Lafayette City Marshal, and Akeem Ashford in St. Landry Parish covering the district attorney's race there.
And voters across Acadiana and the country expressing their thoughts on social media as the numbers rolled in tonight. Facebook, Twitter, text alerts, and KATC.com will keep you informed throughout the night as those results continue to come in. And you can search the hashtag AcadianaElects for complete coverage tonight.
And the most high-profile race in this one is the one for U.S. Senate. While there were a total of 8 on the ballot, incumbent Mary Landrieu fighting for survival, we now know Mary Landrieu and Congressman Bill Cassidy will be in a runoff on December 6th. Again, Mary Landrieu and Bill Cassidy in a runoff on December 6th. You see the numbers happening there. Let's bring in KATC political analyst Dr. Pearson Cross. First, thank you for being here with us. And we were talking about this a little earlier. Tomorrow, Louisiana is going to be the topic of political conversations, right?
Yes, we are. It looked for a while like maybe Georgia would also have a runoff that would last on, but now it's looking like not there. So we are going to be the state that lingers on and on after this whole election is over.
And we've seen so much money spent already in this race. It goes on December 6th.
It's crazy. We've already had $40 million spent just by the candidates. Now, you know, who knows how much is going to go on. You know, it's going to be an all-time spending.
And let's talk about this. It's a name we've heard a lot from the Cassidy side as well as Mary Landrieu. The name Obama kept coming up throughout this process. Is that going to be a determining factor? Is the president going to be a determining factor in who comes out victorious in this race?
One of the things that was interesting about this race was that all across the southern states where there were Republican, Democratic Senate races is that the Republicans campaigned against Obama and not necessarily against the person they were running against, and it was very effective. You know, so you saw the same ads in a number of states. Voted with Obama 97% of the time, voted with Obama 96% of the time. That apparently was a very successful strategy because the Democrats are not winning in the South right now in the Senate race.
You know, the latest Cassidy ad, it outright said a vote for Mary Landrieu is a vote for Obama, I believe is what it said. I mean, if you're Mary Landrieu and her campaign, what do you do moving forward to December?
You know, you have to find those voters. Now, it looks like Manus is going to come in at about 15%, right? So who are those Manus voters? Are they people who are definitely going to be Cassidy supporters? Can you peel some of those away? Can you get your voters out? It's a very tough cycle for Mary Landrieu.
All right, Dr. Cross, don't go too far. We'll be catching up with you in just a little bit, but we continue now with the majority of Acadiana voters who are voting in the 3rd Congressional District race, and no surprise here. Congressman Charles Boustany headed back to Washington. You see those numbers, 95% reporting and 78% of the vote going to Congressman Boustany in the 4th Congressional District. That's Western St. Landry Parish and all of Evangeline Parish. Incumbent Republican John Fleming with the win there. 73% of the vote. His opponent Randall Lord getting 27%.
And residents in Opelousas and Eastern St. Landry Parish voting in the 5th Congressional District race. Republican incumbent Vance McAllister was facing 8 challengers, including Monroe Mayor Jamie Mayo, including there's some others near Clyde Holloway and Duck Dynasty cousin Zach Dasher in that race as well. We'll have those numbers coming up for you in just a bit. And also of note, former Governor Edwin Edwards is back on a Louisiana ballot for the first time since 1991. The ex-convict and ex-governor is seeking the 6th Congressional District seat, which is currently held by Senate candidate Bill Cassidy. Now, he faced off with 11 other candidates for this race, and we do know that the former governor is in a runoff with Garrett Graves, I believe, for that race. There are the numbers right there. You're looking at them. Garrett Graves with 29% and former Governor Edwin Edwards with 28%, with 83% of the polls reporting in that race. Now to the district attorney's race, with the most notable being the 15th Judicial District race. 20-year incumbent Mike Harson is pitted against his former assistant DA, Keith Stutes.
Yeah, the 15th Judicial District includes Lafayette, Acadia, and Vermilion parishes, of course. DA Mike Harson has run unopposed for the past 20 years until tonight. Keith Stutes, his former assistant DA, retiring in 2012 after conducting an internal investigation of the office amid a federal bribery investigation. Let's take a look at the numbers. With 95% of the precincts reporting, it looks like Keith Stutes has the lead there, 52% to 48% in that race.
Another very closely watched race. That one, you know, coming down to the wire, it's teetering and tottering all night long.
It has been, and this is, you know, it's one of those things where we haven't had a race like this in a long time. You know, he's been in there, he's been an incumbent for 20 years or so, and so Stutes, of course, was fueled by the scandal that came out. Harsin, of course, claimed that he wasn't involved in the scandal, but it gave Stutes some legs, and people in the community kind of said, geez, you know, we're not crazy about the running, so maybe we'll make a change. Now, ordinarily, an incumbent like Harsin would just keep floating and running through and winning, but it was really the scandal that weighed him down, I think, at the end.
So that's the difference maker, you believe, in this
I
race?
believe, absolutely.
You know, we had some interesting ads in this race, too, where there was a murder victim in Acadia Parish, Skylar Crater. The family was sort of split in the ads, and both campaigns used, you know, her murder and really the issue that led up to it, whether the suspect should have been out of jail at the time. Smart move for either campaign there?
Both of these campaigns didn't go as negative as they could have. So, I mean, I was relieved that they didn't, because when this race got underway, I really thought, oh, this really has the capacity to really get down in the dirt and get bad. And it didn't. You know, both candidates tried to keep it above board, but they used some things. You know, you couldn't.
They worked together for so long, too.
They did. It must have been tough for both of them, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Well, the race for Lafayette City Marshal, where the incumbent Earl Nicky Picard was facing 3 opponents this evening. Yeah,
Picard has held that position for the past 30 years. Among his competition, one of his former employees, Brian Pope, who retired from the Marshal's office in January. Now, Joseph Cormier, another candidate, has experience working with the FBI and state police. Kip Judice is a 29-year veteran of the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office. He's also on the ballot. And let's take a look at the numbers now, if we could. We have 97% of the precincts reporting, and it looks like Brian Pope is in the lead there with 37% of the vote, followed by Kip Judice and the incumbent Earl Nicky Picard.
And our Carrie Beal is live at Antlers Restaurant in downtown Lafayette with the Brian Pope campaign. Carrie.
Yes, we're at Antlers in downtown. This is where Brian Pope's watch party is going on. The crowd is pretty ecstatic right now. They can probably see us on the screens behind us. I think they actually see us right now because they are screaming so loud. But Brian, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions going in. It's probably hard for you to hear me, but going into the future, now it's just you and one other candidate. How do you plan to proceed?
We're going to keep running our high road campaign. We've done that since the very beginning. Like I said earlier, I've never talked negative about any of my candidates, and I'm going to keep that in the future.
And what's the first thing you plan to do if you're elected into office?
I'm just going to keep the city marshals running. I mean, the marshal's office running. We have a good office. We have a strong office, very solid. And I was a part of that when I was with the administration, and I just want to keep that going.
And you worked with Earl Picard for quite a while.
Yes, I did.
And, you know, if he's watching, if he's out there, what do you have to say to him, working with him for so many years?
Well, Mr. Picard, you know, I worked for him for 22 years of the 30 years he's been city marshal, and I respect him. And he taught me everything I know, and that's why I feel like I'm ready to take the wheel. He trained me for the position.
Yeah, looks like it. All right, well, we're at the watch party for Brian Pope. Again, he's the leading candidate in the Lafayette City Marshal race. Right now, Kip Judice is following behind him. I'm Carrie Beal reporting live in Lafayette. Back to you guys in the studio.
All righty, thank you, Carrie. And earlier tonight, we spoke to Kip Judice about going into the runoff next month.
I look forward to the next 4 weeks of continuing a very positive campaign, talking about a message of all the things I've been speaking with, a diverse workforce, a responsible spending plan for government, alternative work programs for people of minor offenders.
And let's move on to St. Landry Parish now. Another longtime incumbent is facing a stiff challenge. Former district judge Ellis Daigle is challenging the current district attorney there, Earl Taylor, in that race. Now, Earl Taylor has been district attorney since 1998. Ellis Daigle stepped down from the bench in February. Daigle served 9 years as a judge in the district. You see the 2 candidates there. And prior to that, he served as an assistant district attorney and private practice attorney. Let's take a look at the numbers that are coming in there. We have 64% of the precincts reporting in St. Landry Parish. Earl Taylor in the lead with 59% to Ellis Daigle's 41%.
And our Akeem Ashford is live with the incumbent Earl Taylor at Indian Hills Country Club in Opelousas. Akeem.
Yeah, good evening there, guys. We're here live at the Earl Taylor campaign watch party, where the numbers have been rolling in. Ever since the very first numbers, Earl Taylor has read them off, and the crowd has gone crazy. Earl Taylor has led since the very beginning. As of right now, Earl Taylor is up 58% to 42%, with 88 of the precincts reporting. Let's actually bring Mr. Taylor in right now. Mr. Taylor, how excited are you? It's been a crazy, crazy year and race for you.
It's been, you're right, this has been a very challenging race because of the fact that it's been so negative toward us. We've tried to be very positive. We've tried to run a positive campaign, and I believe that our message has gotten across, and I think that the people understand, and this is a mandate for our office to be independent, not responsible to anyone else, not letting anybody else control the office, be responsible only to the people of St. Landry Parish.
Yeah, last question for you, Mr. Taylor. There were some things that you said that you still need to work on. What are those things that you're hoping to work on this re-election bid here?
Well, we have a program for early intervention that they have down in Iberia Parish. We've been down to see it. We want to implement that within so that we can try to save more young people. That's our whole purpose. In our office, there is a sign that says 100 years from now, it's not going to matter what kind of car I drove or what kind of house I lived in, but the world may be a better place because I was important in the life of a child, and that's the motto for our office.
Perfect, Mr. Taylor. Thank you. Obviously, a very happy camp here in St. Landry Parish. Earl Taylor is up 58% to 42%, with 88 of the precincts reporting. Live in St. Landry Parish, Akeem Ashford, KATC, TV3.
Thank you, Akeem. That's Akeem in St. Landry. Now to Jeff Davis Parish, where incumbent DA Michael Cassidy is facing a challenge for the first time in 20 years.
His opponent, former DA Wendell Miller. The two squared off 20 years ago when Miller was the incumbent and Cassidy took his job. Let's look at the numbers if we could right away. Michael Cassidy and Wendell Miller. Again, this is the race for Jeff Davis, District Attorney. And 100% reporting, it looks like this race is called for Michael Cassidy with 52% of the race. Now we want to go back to Lafayette with a very tight race for District Attorney for Lafayette, Vermilion, and Acadia parishes.
That's right. Our Allison Bourne-Vanette continues our team coverage with that DA's race. She's with the Keith Stutes campaign at Acadian Village. Allison.
Jim and Marcel, it is packed here at Acadian Village with supporters for Keith Stutes. I mean, there have been cheers, there has been excitement, and now celebration. I'm here with Keith Stutes, and I just wanted to ask you, what do you want the District Attorney's Office to be known for?
Well, I want the DA's office to gain some respect of law enforcement and of the people that the DA is supposed to represent. That is what I intend to bring to the DA's office.
And also, do you have any words for Mike Harsin right now?
Well, the words I have for Mike are that I certainly thought this was a decent race, and I attempted to do what I thought was important in this race, and I think it's time to move on at this point.
And how does this feel right now? How does this moment feel?
Well, I'm humbled and gracious. I'm surrounded by passionate people that believed in me, and I'm truly humbled by that, and I love them all.
Well, thank you very much, Keith. Back to you in the studio.
All right, a very happy environment out there, and for good reason. If we could pull up the latest numbers, I think we have them for this race. Again, Keith Stutes taking on the current DA, Mike Harsin. At last check, with 98% of the precincts reporting, Keith Stutes is in the lead 55% to 45%.
That's right. We have 120 of 123 precincts, so the numbers almost complete there. Let's talk about this race. We mentioned it just a minute ago, and this was a very contentious one, and it seems like the people here in those three parishes looking for a change in the DA's office.
I think so, although we'd have to see the parishes, you know, and see who was stronger where.
Right.
I think Stutes was probably stronger in Lafayette. You know, people said that word of the difficulties that Harsin was having didn't make it out to Vermilion and Acadia so much. So I think it was probably in Lafayette where Stutes made the biggest marks, you know. But Harsin did very, very well. When you know, word came down of what had happened in his office, I thought he's cooked. He's a goner. He'd be out. I never thought, frankly, that he could raise this kind of money. He's been outraising Stutes over the last part of the race, and that he would have this kind of support. So it's a testament to his many years in office and the job that he's done.
Yeah, 20 years in office. That's a long time for a district attorney. Huh?
Absolutely.
We're seeing a lot of people tonight moving on after a few years, it looks like, you know, in the Marshals race and then the DA's race, and then perhaps Mary Landry, who may no longer in a month.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll know. We'll be watching that race for a little while longer. We still have plenty to cover here across Acadiana this evening.
Yeah, we're going to go out to the district attorney's campaign headquarters tonight in just a little bit, but stay right there. We have more election news coming up right here on this special edition of Acadiana's News Channel at 10 o'clock, and as we head to break, a look at some of the races.
To the race for a Broussard police chief tonight, incumbent Chief Brandon Deku is facing a challenge from Todd Mouton. Deku has been chief for the last 13 years, but Mouton, a retired sheriff's deputy, is working to remove Deku from that seat tonight. If we could go ahead and take a look at those numbers in this race. Again, this is for Broussard police chief. We don't have those numbers at this time. We'll have them for you in just a little bit. Also, another chief's race of note is in Arnaville. Kenneth Toby Witzel is seeking to return to office. He held until earlier this year when he lost a special election to Eddie Lecomte, voters selecting who will serve there. And you see Eddie Lecomte coming in with 57% of the votes and Toby Witzel with 43%. Eddie Lecomte is the police chief in the town of Arnaville with 100% of precincts reporting.
Marcel, let's head to your hometown, Opelousas, where Don Craven Sr. is running to keep his current seat as mayor of the city. City Councilman Reggie Tatum and longtime educator Harvey Darbone are running to replace Cravens. Mayor Don Cravens has served as mayor of the city for the last 8 years. Let's bring in the results that are coming in. We have 81% of the precincts reporting, and it looks like Reggie Tatum is in the lead there with 41% of the vote. Don Cravens follows with 40%. So far, it appears that race headed perhaps to a runoff, but again, just 81% reporting. Staying in Opelousas now with the race for police chief, incumbent Perry Gallo is running for his third term in office. You see the numbers there, and Donald Thompson is in the lead with 50% of the vote, followed by the incumbent Chief Perry Gallo with 46%, 81% of the precincts reporting there. A lot more races to get to, everybody. Stay with us. We'll have more election results coming up after this break. 3 candidates are vying to be the next mayor of Washington. Joseph Pete, who is the incumbent, says his 11 years as mayor makes him the most qualified candidate in the race. He's running against City Councilman Crandall Piju and Melissa Steers. We'll get the numbers in that race coming up in just a bit. Stay with us.
And up next, race for Maurice Chief of Police incumbent Warren Rost and Brian Bumgardner running for that position. Rost has been chief in Maurice for more than 30 years, and Bumgardner served in the Lafayette Police Department for 18 years. And here's a look at those numbers there. there. With 100% of precincts reporting, Ryan Ross is 63% of the votes to Brian Bumgardner's 36%. Ryan Ross keeps his police chief seat in the village of Maurice.
Well, to Iberia Parish now, where residents in the city of New Iberia are voting on a millage renewal. Those funds would go toward public works projects, equipment, and salaries. So what do the voters have to say? We have 96% of the precincts reporting, and it's a yes vote so far, with 53% of the vote to 47% saying no. It's a 3.5 mils tax that would last for 10 years. 3 candidates in Youngsville are in the race to lead the police department there. Gary Williams, Ricky Broussard, incumbent Earl Menard. And here are the results at this point. 100% of precincts reporting, and Ricky Boudreau with 59% of the vote, beating out the incumbent Earl Menard. Again, Ricky Boudreau, chief of police in the city of Youngsville, with 59% of the vote. And a proposal to permanently rededicate half 1-cent sales tax for the Youngsville Police Department on tonight's ballot. Now, that tax was created more than 30 years ago to help the city's small police force. It generated $1.5 million every year. And if we have the numbers there, 60%, a yes vote for the city of Youngsville to keep that proposed rededicated half-cent sales tax. And stay right there, everyone. We cover the races for the Lafayette Parish School Board right after this. Welcome back, everyone. And next up, the school board races in Lafayette Parish.
Lafayette Parish, the only parish in Acadiana to have all of its school board seats contested, starting with District 1, where current board member Mark Babineau is seeking a district judgeship. Coach Don Gagnard and Riddell Como Mama Miller, as she's known, and Mary Morrison fighting for that seat. With 90% of precincts reporting, Mary Morrison with 44% of the vote, followed by Coach Don Gagnard with 37%.
Let's check the numbers for District 2 now. We had incumbent Tommy Angel squaring off against 2 candidates, James Chavez and also Simon Mahan. And we have 100% of the precincts reporting Tommy Angel re-elected to the District 2 school board seat.
To District 3 now, where Lafayette Parish school board candidate Elroy Broussard has defeated incumbent District 3 school board member Shelton Cobb. Again, Elroy Broussard defeating current school board member Shelton Cobb. Broussard won with 51.4% of the vote, according to Louisiana Secretary of State's website. So a new board member there. Also in the District 4 seat, Timmy Chasson running to keep his seat against Erica Williams. If we have those numbers there, do we have those numbers? No, we do not have those numbers.
Well,
okay.
Let's head to District 5. We have incumbent Kermit Bouillon. We do have these numbers. Check these out. We have 100% of the precincts reporting a defeat for Kermit Bouillon. He's defeated by Britt Latchley, 60% of the vote to 40%. Let's head to District 6 now. Current Representative Greg Aubrey has chosen not to run for re-election, posing an election between 2 newcomers. And you see it there that with 100% of the precincts reporting, Justin Santani is the new school board member for District 6. Defeating Kathleen Schott Espinoza, 51% to 49%, a very close race there.
And District 7 of the school board has seen its share of controversy. Former representative school board member District 7 Mark Cockrum resigned after a lawsuit was filed challenging his residency, and tonight he faced off with Don Morris for that O seat. And with 84% of precincts reporting, Don Morris coming in with 52% of the vote, followed by Cockrum with 48%. And District 8, Eric Knezig trying to oust current school board member Hunter Beasley. Do we have the numbers there? Yes, we do. 92% of precincts reporting. Eric Knezig with 74%, Hunter Beasley with 26%.
And District 9, board member Ray Traha held that seat, declining to run for re-election. 91% reporting Jeremy Hidalgo in the lead there, 62% to Brian West's 38%.
And Dr. Cross back here with us. Let's talk about the Lafayette Parish School Board. There's been a lot going on, a lot of attention paid to these district seats in these races.
A lot to talk about, too.
Man, this is crazy. We had 20 candidates. We had people who didn't run. We had PACs for the first time really participating. The Chamber of Commerce got way involved, and there were teacher unions, and it's just been a chaotic campaign. And we've seen more signs and more interest in the school board than I can imagine. And part of it has to do with the controversy swirling around Pat Cooper and his fate, right?
And talking about Cooper, you know, you had 3 board members on the current board, Kermit Bouillon, Shelton Cobb, and Mark Cockrum. It looks like a defeat right now for Kermit Bouillon and also Shelton Cobb. Mark Cockrum still up in the air, I think, with the numbers there. What do you think that says? What do you think the voters were saying there?
Well, I think that's a clear message. I mean, Pat Cooper has been getting about as close as you can get to campaigning for some of the members of the board that he thought supported him, and those members have been repudiated. And so if anything, if I was Mr. Cooper, I'd be thinking very seriously about where my next position was, because it does not bode well in the context of everything else.
You know, on the other side of the coin, though, you have two elected school board members-elect, Eric Kinesic and also Justin Centani, endorsed by the Empower PAC. You know, kind of pro-Cooper, some might say there. Some
might, and so it's possible. I don't want to prognosticate about his eventual fate, but this election is certainly not a resounding success for the Cooper side, and just indicates that, with the state in turmoil about Common Core and the governor and John White and all that, it's just very contentious right now, and it's difficult.
Yeah, education's a big issue.
Makes for a fun election.
It absolutely does.
Exactly. Sure.
All righty, stay with us, everyone. More election coverage coming up right after this.